even have to foul now.
4-point lead. Here comes Fox. 5 seconds remaining. Fox to Wemby. Wemby tries a three, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby the rebound. It's over. It's over. Knicks fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
The New York Knicks have won the 2026 NBA championship, and it feels like an entire city exhaled at once.
Those are Knicks fans in New York City destroying and then setting fire to a school bus that was being used.
For years, Knicks fans have been told that their franchise would never get back at the top. Every season started with hope and ended with disappointment. While teams around the league rebuilt, developed young stars, and competed for championships, New York seemed stuck in an endless cycle of bad luck and bad decisions. But championships aren't won overnight. The team that eventually brought the title back to New York wasn't built through one move or one superstar signing. It was the result of years of patience, smart roster building, and a culture that slowly transformed one of NBA's most dysfunctional organizations into the league's newest champion. And to understand how the Knicks got here, we need to go back to 2020, where none of this felt possible. The Knicks entered the 2020 offseason in a familiar position. They hadn't won a championship since 1973, and they hadn't reached the finals since 1999. Outside of a few brief moments of success, the previous 2 decades had been filled with failed experiments, disappointing seasons, and constant instability. The roster lacked a clear identity, and fans were growing tired of hearing about future plans that never seemed to lead anywhere. That's when the organization hired Tom Thibodeau. At the time, it wasn't viewed as a franchise-changing move. In fact, many people questioned it. Thibodeau had built a reputation as a demanding coach who prioritized defense and discipline above everything else. Some believed the game had passed him by. But what the Knicks needed wasn't a revolutionary offensive system or a flashy new direction. They needed structure. From day one, Thibodeau established standards that had been missing for years. Players were expected to come every night, defensive effort became non-negotiable, accountability became part of the culture. The transformation happened almost immediately. During the 2020-2021 season, New York had become one of the NBA's biggest surprises. Julius Randle played the best basketball of his career, the defense ranked among the best leagues elite, and the Knicks finished 4th in the Eastern Conference with a 41-31 record. For the first time in years, Madison Square Garden had real energy again. The playoffs ended with a disappointing first-round loss to Atlanta, but despite the loss, the season felt like a turning point. The Knicks weren't a joke anymore. They were finally heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, progress isn't always linear. The following season was a reality check. The magic from the previous season seemed to disappear. Julius Randle struggled to replicate his All-NBA production, and New York missed the playoffs entirely. Suddenly, people began questioning whether the 2021 playoff appearance had simply been a fluke. But behind the scenes, the front office was preparing to take a move that would define the future of the franchise. In the summer of 2022, the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson. Today, that decision looks obvious. By the time many analysts felt New York had overpaid, Brunson was coming off a strong season in Dallas, but had never been an all-star. He had spent most of his career playing alongside Luka Doncic, and there were questions about whether he would lead his own team. The Knicks didn't see those concerns, though. They saw a player who consistently made winning plays. They saw a leader. Most importantly, they saw someone who could finally solve a problem that had haunted the franchise for years. The Knicks desperately needed a true point guard, and Jalen Brunson was exactly that. Jalen Brunson's impact was immediate. From the moment he arrived in New York, Brunson completely changed the offense. He controlled the pace of games, he created opportunities for teammates, and he brought a level of consistency and confidence that the team had been missing for years. More importantly, he raised the pressure that comes with playing in New York. Many players struggle under the spotlight of Madison Square Garden, but Brunson seemed to thrive in it. The Knicks won 47 games in the 2022-23 season and returned to the playoffs. In the first round, they defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers in convincing fashion. This is New York's first playoff series victory in over a decade. While their season eventually ended against Miami, it was becoming increasingly clear that the Knicks had found their franchise player. For the first time in years, their future looked bright. But the organization wasn't satisfied with simply becoming a playoff team. They wanted more. As Brunson continued to establish himself as one of the league's best guards, the front office focused on surrounding him with the right pieces. The Knicks added players who fit their identity, tough players, winning players, players willing to sacrifice individual numbers for team success. Josh Hart became one of those important additions of the entire rebuild. His energy, rebounding, and versatility perfectly matched the culture Thibodeau was creating. Then came Dante DiVincenzo. Alongside Brunson and Hart, the former Villanova teammates brought an instant level of chemistry and trust into the locker room. But the biggest move was when New York acquired OG Anunoby. For years, Knicks have been searching for an elite two-way wing. Anunoby provided exactly that. His impact on both ends of the floor elevated New York into a legitimate contender. When healthy, the Knicks looked like one of the most complete teams in basketball. Unfortunately, health became their biggest obstacle. Throughout the 2023-24 season and playoffs, injuries piled up. Julius Randle missed significant time, and OG Anunoby battled injuries. Mitchell Robinson was sidelined, and despite all of that, the Knicks still won 50 games and pushed through the playoffs before eventually falling short. But it was revealing something really important. The Knicks were closer than ever before. Championship windows don't stay open forever. The front office understood that. Brunson was entering his prime and the roster was talented. The culture was established. The time to complete wasn't years away, it was now. With the Karl-Anthony Towns trade, every decision moving forward reflected that mindset. The organization wasn't thinking about rebuilding anymore. They were thinking about winning a championship. The expectations around the franchise had completely changed. For years, success had meant simply making the playoffs. Now success meant competing for a title, and the players embraced that pressure. By this point, Brunson had developed into one of the league's most respected stars. His leadership set the tone for the entire organization, and the rest of the roster followed his example. Night after night, the Knicks played with a level of toughness and discipline that mirrored their head coach. The foundation was finally complete. All that remained was proving it in the playoffs. By the time the playoffs arrived, the Knicks weren't hoping to make a deep run. They expected one. The first challenge was in Atlanta Hawks, a team Knicks fans have bad memories of because of what happened back in 2021 with Trae Young. This series felt personal. Atlanta fought hard, but the New York Knicks simply had a better team. Jalen Brunson controlled the offense throughout the series, and Karl-Anthony Towns was dominant inside. The Knicks eventually closed the Hawks out in 6 games. After surviving the first round, New York matched up with the Philadelphia 76ers. A lot of people expected a competitive series. Instead, the Knicks completely overwhelmed Philadelphia from start to finish. Their defense was suffocating. Their ball movement was elite. Brunson continued to play like one of the best guards in basketball, while Towns and the supporting cast made sure Philadelphia never had a chance to build momentum. The Knicks completed the sweep with a 144-114 blowout in Game 4 and advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second straight year. Standing in their way were the Cleveland Cavaliers, led by Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. Many expected this to be a long series. Instead, it became one of the most dominant conference finals performances in recent memory. In Game 1, Brunson exploded for 38 points as the New York Knicks won 115-104. In Game 2, the Knicks won again, 109-93. Game 3 saw Brunson score another 30 points in a 121-108 victory. Then in Game 4, New York absolutely crushed Cleveland, 130-93 to complete the sweep. For the series, Brunson averaged 25.5 points and 7.8 assists per game, while Donovan Mitchell averaged 27.3 points for Cleveland. Towns dominated the glass and the entire Knicks roster looked locked in. Just like that, New York was headed to its first NBA Finals since 1999. But one challenge remained: Victor Wembanyama, the San Antonio Spurs, and a chance to bring a championship back to New York for the first time in 53 years. The finals opened in San Antonio, and the Spurs looked ready for the moment. Victor Wembanyama finished with 26 points and 12 rebounds, but the Knicks refused to back down. Jalen Brunson led New York with 30 points, Karl-Anthony Towns added 18 points and 12 rebounds, and OG Anunoby chipped in 17 points as the Knicks stormed back and stole Game 1. Game 2 was even closer. Every possession felt massive, and neither team could pull away. When the game reached the final minutes, Brunson once again delivered in the clutch, and New York escaped with a 1-point victory. The Knicks headed back to Madison Square Garden with a 2-0 series lead. The city could feel something special happening. The first finals game in Madison Square Garden since 1999 was electric. The crowd was loud from the opening tip, but San Antonio responded. Wembanyama and the Spurs played with urgency, and for the first time all series, the Knicks couldn't find enough answers. The Spurs took Game 3 and got themselves back into the series. Now the pressure shifted to Game 4. For most of Game 4, the championship dream looked like it was slipping away. San Antonio built an unbelievable 29-point lead inside Madison Square Garden. The Knicks looked dead. The Spurs looked ready to tie the series. But what happened next became part of NBA history. Led by Brunson and fueled by one of the loudest crowds Madison Square Garden had ever seen, New York completed the largest comeback in finals history. Possession by possession, the lead disappeared. By the end of the night, the Knicks had somehow pulled off the impossible. Instead of a tie series, New York was now one win away from an NBA championship. With the title on the line, Jalen Brunson delivered the greatest performance of his NBA career. For most of the night, San Antonio controlled the game. They led by as many as 15 points and looked determined to force the Game 6. But Brunson wasn't letting the Knicks leave without a trophy. He completely took over the second half. Every big shot belonged to him and every important possession ran through him. By the time the final buzzer sounded, Brunson had scored 45 points, the most ever by a Knick in an NBA Finals game. He scored 29 of the points in the second half and 15 in the fourth quarter alone. On the Spurs side, Victor Wembanyama finished with 19 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks, while Dylan Harper scored 25 points, but it wasn't enough. The final score was 94-90 Knicks. They won the NBA Finals, and after 53 years of waiting, after decades of hard work, after years of rebuilding, the Knicks were finally NBA champions. Unfortunately, it was Jalen Brunson, the player many people once said the Knicks overpaid for, which was at the center of the court holding the Finals MVP trophy. For most championship teams, people remember the final celebration. For the Knicks, fans will remember the entire journey. They'll remember the years where nobody believed. They'll remember the struggles, the playoff disappointments, and the countless times they were told they will never happen. They'll remember Tom Thibodeau changing the culture. They'll remember the gamble on Jalen Brunson. They'll remember every move that slowly transformed their franchise into a contender. Because the championship wasn't built in one season. It was built over years. Years of patience, years of development, years of believing in a vision when the results weren't here yet. And in the end, that belief paid off. The New York Knicks climbed in from irrelevance to the top of the basketball world. After more than half a century of waiting, the Larry O'Brien Trophy was finally coming back to Madison Square Garden. Basketball belonged to New York once again.